Welcome to FM John Curtis Chess and Christmas greetings to everybody. Today we're going to play a really interesting game. I challenge you to spot the key move in this game. It's such a beautiful move. That's why I'm highlighting this particular game because I found this move so special. I tried to create a situation where something beautiful might occur in the game, and yes, it turned out to be a piece of art. So almost like creating a puzzle, but in an actual chess game. So I really do hope you enjoy this. It is something special, and we'll start now in chess analysis room and see how we go. And one other thing too, the chess engine, you'll find if you watch what the chess engine is suggesting, you might think, oh, well, hold on, if we followed the chess engine, we're actually using a chess engine during the game, we may never have created such a beautiful piece of art. So it goes to say chess engines are wonderful things, but there's nothing like the creativity of a human being, like a great painter, like a chess player that creates beautiful pieces of chess. And a lot of those beautiful pieces of artwork, those beautiful pieces of chess, they don't necessarily come from like perfect chess, like making the exact correct move every particular time. Anyway, without that, we'll get straight into the game, and we'll go straight into chess.com and we'll commence. Here we are, we're playing Albert Norta. Albert Norta 7 is 1855 rating, and he's from Venezuela. So we'll start the game. The magician, myself, I'm white. And you might ask yourself, oh, why is John Curtis called the magician? It was because I used to always play tactics when I was younger, and I really admired Mikhail Tal. I'm not saying that I'm a Mikhail Tal, but what I'm saying is I would like to be or have a few of his qualities in my game. And I've got this idea that if I play lightning chess, I like to sometimes mix it and make it as complicated as possible so that if I can't work it out, hopefully my opponent can't work it out. That was Mikhail Tal's idea. Of course, he was playing at a completely different level, but I followed the same maxim. Anyway, we'll get straight into the game. White played e4 and just gained the centre, the usual stuff. And I'll go slowly for the beginners that really want to understand chess more. Right, so we all know what e5 is, develops the two pieces, the queen and the bishop lines, and f4. So I thought, well, I'll throw Albert Norta off kilter and try to play a king's gambit. A bit cheeky and brazen of me because I'm not really fantastic in the king's gambit, but I thought, well, I was just strong enough to find my own way. Okay, so Albert Norta plays d6. He just plays solidly, and he's not taking any risks with me. He doesn't want to do anything too untoward in the early stages of the game. I think he just wants to get his pieces out. So I just developed my knight to f3. The book says, well, I should have played d4, but I'm actually happy just playing a King's Gambit style game. He played knight e7. Now, his plan obviously is to go knight to g6 and hold the pawn on f4. And we'll see that happen as the game develops. And there will be a struggle over the f4 square. I got a star. I love it. I love it when I get a star. I feel so happy and so proud because obviously the star move is the best move in the position. I did only, you can see on the board there, I I did only have 71.2% accuracy in this game. But then again, if I'd had 80% accuracy or 90, I would never have created the piece of chess that you will see unfold and the final position. Albert Norder, he gets a star. He played the very, very best move. Right, another Christmas star, D4. Just developing my pieces, opening the white bishop's line on C1 and threatening to recapture my pawn on F4. Okay, here we are. Albert Norder plays knight G6 and he gets a star for that move, so we can't question his move knight on the G file to E7 and now, because if he hadn't made that move, he wouldn't have got a star and protected the pawn on F4. Now, in this position, the natural move is knight to D5, threatening knight takes pawn on F4 and completing development and trying to recover that pawn back on F4. And then we could build white's position and get a good game. We can see the computer was suggesting knight to D5. I played H4. The idea is to displace the knight on G6 by playing pawn to H5 and then recapturing my pawn on F4. And the computer correctly tells me that knight D5 was a better move, obtaining the same result of recapturing the pawn on F4, but not weakening the king side. You'll see my king side is a bit weak. But my weakness that I created by not playing an engine move will be the same fundamental reason why this wonderful key move that I've been telling you all about will present itself much later in the game. And you'll see that. Okay, Albert Norder, he weakens his king position too a little bit. So I've achieved something, and yet it is the computer's giving him the star as the best move in the position. Right, now I play knight to D5, which is what the computer suggested in the first place. Only difference is, of course, we've got these two pawns on H4 and H5, where black has sort of counteracted each other's play to try to grab some space. It says he should have pinned my knight on F3, as you can see, with his big giant arrow. Now we'll recapture the pawn on F4. It's logical because our knight was threatened. And he recaptures, he gets a little tick, but Queen F3 was a stronger move according to the engine. Bishop takes knight. Now we've got a star for that, and in this particular case, I'm happy if you what beginner players and even medium-rated players should realise is when they're playing the game, not just to work out what their next move is, but to occasionally reassess the position that they're in and evaluate their current status on the board when they're looking at their next move. And when I look at this position and what I think, and what probably grandmasters think and the like, is that I have two pieces working. I have a bishop, two minor pieces. I've got a bishop on F4 and a knight on F3. So, they're fully developed, those two pieces. They're on very effective squares. Now, if we look at the black's position, black's got a bishop on C8, that's the white squared bishop. And it covers a beautiful diagonal down to H3. Whereas the only other minor piece that's developed is the black squared bishop next to the king. But it only covers diagonal as far as the other square in front of the king, E7. So white's got slightly better development. White's trying to occupy the centre, right, as a building tool for his game, and to try to consolidate development and then move forward. Anyway, that's basically it in a nutshell. He plays bishop e7 with the idea of possibly castling and bringing his major piece, the castle, the king's castle, into play. However, the engine is saying that bishop to g4 first was possibly a better idea. I can see that. The idea is if you play bishop g4 first and then follow with bishop e7, then you'd be threatening bishop takes knight and bishop takes h-pawn. I think that's what the computer's thinking, but who knows what a computer thinks. Okay, so I played a bad move according to the engine. I get a question mark, exclamation mark. And it is logical that I had two minor pieces working, and I was talking about evaluating the board and development. And I neglected my development. And the computer tells me that. The engine tells me I should have played bishop c4 and developed a piece. Then I would have had the three minor pieces out and ready to bring my major pieces into the game. So I'm fully on side with the engine there, and I'm not too happy with the position. Bishop g4, so he gets a star, and theoretically, one probably assessing this position would say that black is probably better now in this game. Black's got a better position. Right, so how do we move forwards? So I take the bishop on the e7. I've effectively given up my good bishop for his bad bishop, which is quite dumb, really. But, well, we all do dumb things. I mean, everybody would be, must put their hand up at Christmas time so they're not on Santa's naughty list. You don't want to be on Santa's naughty list. And just admit occasionally that, yes, I make bad moves in chess. I think we all do on occasion. Right, he recaptured, gets a star, he's got full development, and I haven't castled. I don't look like I'm anywhere near castling, so I think, well, hold on a minute, I better get my pieces out. So I played bishop d3, and I got a star for that move, but I'm really worried about d5 and f5 for black, pinning my pawn against my king. He castled. He got a star for castling, so it can't be too bad. I got a star for playing queen to d2. It says I should have castled, but I didn't like castling over there. There's too many holes around my king, and I thought my king was a bit unsafer than what his king was. So I just wanted to get out of there, maybe castle queenside and launch an attack against him if I got the got a hope. Right, he played f5. It says he should have played c5. Let's analyse the position now. Had he played, saying he should have played c5. Now, the beautiful idea about c5 is that it puts my centre under with c5. We're looking at c5. That would just put my centre under attack on the black squares. Right, so and possibly open up my queen side just a little bit if I was to play c3, and he was to take the d pawn. I recovered with the c pawn, and he could take the knight and play knight c6. And if I'd castled on the queen side, well then already black is commencing operations to he's weakened my queen side. And commencing operations to have a real decent attack on my queen side. So, but he did play f5. Now, I played e5. I knew I wasn't doing very, very well here, but I was happy to sacrifice a pawn for open lines and hope somehow that I can extricate myself. And basically, I'm just not happy with the position, but I was desperate to just castle queenside quickly. So he took he played bishop takes f3, which looks quite logical in the position because we can see that after I recapture g takes f3, he just simply plays d takes e5, and if I recapture, he gets a pawn with check. Right? That's on the plus side. On the negative side, when we're looking at this position, after white recaptures, g takes f3 and gets a star, we now have an open g file, right? So the g file, which goes straight directly to black's king. There's a few holes, as you can see, on white squares. You look at h7, there's nothing there. Look at g6, there's nothing there. And we do have an outpost square on g5, right? It's protected by the h pawn, and the queen is eyeing the same square. He recaptures the pawn. Now, in this position, black would be so happy if I just took the pawn back, and he would take a check, and I'd have my king in an open position, and my queen side would be busted. It'd be on my b2 pawn, and it'd be quite some time before I could get some operations to attack his king, because I'd be so busy developing my king. But you will remember what I did do was I said earlier that I wanted to castle queenside, and I wanted my queenside intact, right? Because if I can get a safe queenside, nestling safely on the queen side, then perhaps, just perhaps, I could take advantage of those perceived holes on black's king side. Okay, so I castled. I've got a star for best move. Now he recaptured pawn takes pawn. He's neglecting his development. The computer says, well, what is achieved by pawn takes pawn? Whereas knight on the b file to d7, which you can see the arrows is alluding to, would have developed his piece, cleared up his rooks on the black's rooks on the back rank, and completed his development, right, or semi-completed his development. Right. So I give a check. The engine says don't give a check. The engine says play rook on the d file to e1. Now, why did I give a check? Well, I simply gave a check because I can recover the pawn on d4. I can still play rook e1 hits or attacks black's queen on the open e file as suggested by the engine. But also I note that if my bishop on d3, which is attacking his f pawn, is protected by his castle, I'm not achieving much. And I'm thinking perhaps I'd like to control some of those weak white squares that I identified near black's king, right? So that was my plan. We'll see what happens next. Now, black plays, this is the most critical part of the whole position. Black plays king h8. The engine, as you can see, there's a very little arrow there, but such an important arrow. If black had followed the engine's advice and played, say, king h7, his king would be there on h7 to support the g6 move. And by playing pawn to g6, the g6 pawn would be a base pawn protecting both his f pawn on f5 and his h pawn on h5. And this is going to be critical in the next few moves of the game. It's here that I played queen takes pawn. The engine told me to play rook on the h file to g1, but I had another plan. And you'll see that plan come to fruition in the next few moves. It won't take long. Right, so I get a question mark and an exclamation mark. It's here that human thinking, as opposed to computer-driven calculation, is trying to come up with an attack based on human observation rather than pure calculus by a chess engine. Now, I may be raving. You might think I'm raving on a little bit here, but it'll all come to a conclusion that I'm sure you'll appreciate in the next one or two moves. Now, looking at black's position, you might remember I did say to you that when you are playing chess, you should evaluate your opponent's position rather than just concentrate on what your next move is, because your next move should be based on what your opponent's about to do. Now, you might remember I put my bishop on c4 to attack those white squares. It was here that I envisaged a checkmate in 3 moves. So white checkmating black in 3 moves. Now, more advanced players can already see the theme. The other thing I've got in my favour here is that I'm fully developed. All my pieces are on key squares. The queen's on a dominating square, controlling a black long diagonal to the king. The 2 castles are connected to each other, though they're not threatening the black king. So they will be crucial in coming in to the game. Now, when we analyse black's position, the position from black's point of view, black's got 1 queen on a fairly good defensive square. He's got his rook on f8 holding his f pawn. So he can't be faulted on that side, apart from he would really have preferred his king on h7. His queenside's blocked. He's effectively playing a castle down, and there's no balance in his position. He can't play knight to d7 because of queen takes knight, the rook and queen controlling the d file. He's still got to complete his development. So it's here that white's thinking his only developmental move is knight a6, as bad as it is. And then what will white do? Will white simply go for a rook and pawn ending, take the knight off, or whatever? But no. We spotted an artistic masterpiece being built around the holes on the white squares around the black king. So here we go. Knight a6 was played. The engine gives him a star as very best move. Now, my next move is my key move, the first key move of the problem. So even though it's a chess game, I worked out that it's more of a chess problem than a chess game now, because I've seen this particular continuation. So I play rook on the d file to g1, and I get a question mark for my move. A question mark. The engine's giving me a question mark. So a question mark is not good. It says it's a mistake. It says it's a mistake. But let's see if it turns out to be a mistake. Who's right? The engine or human intuition? Okay. Black plays rook on the A file to d8. Of course, the engine saw that b5, trying to displace the white bishop, was the move. And had the bishop gone back to b3, then c4 and c5 and c4, trapping the bishop would eventuate. So yes, we know the engine's right, but had we not played the move we played, we would not have enjoyed the opportunity to play the key move. Can you spot the key move in this position? This is more for the beginners than the chess masters. I'll give you a few seconds. White to play and win. Queen's attacked. B5 is threatened. The engine's saying B5 is threatened. Here we go. A star. We've got a star from the engine. The engine says, well, you may not have played the best moves before. However, you've found the best move now. So you've decided to give up your queen. Now, if the queen is taken, rook takes queen. Rook takes pawn, checkmate along the H file. And you can't go to G8 because the bishop's covering the square. Now you can see why my human intuition, I wanted to play bishop c4 about four moves ago because I sensed with my intuition that there were white holes around the black king. And I was hoping, amongst hope, that I would get in there and basically be able to take advantage somehow of those weaknesses. Now, one would think, looking at this position, okay, we can't take the queen. We all know that because of the checkmate, rook takes pawn. But we think, hold on a minute, we could play queen takes rook and then take the queen. However, this is where everything becomes quite beautiful and coordinated, connected. If queen takes rook and the H pawn recovers and then you take the queen, well, the castle that's not in play at the moment comes into play because you've displaced the pawn on H4 to G5, and when the queen's captured, the rook on H1 goes to H5, and we get another checkmate using the weak white squares to hammer the black king. And now you can see, if only black had played king H7 when he was checked by the bishop, he could have stopped all this with G6. But who's to know? We're all human after all. Anyway, I'll show you the next few moves. And not as exciting as finding the key move, but I can't find a defence here because you can't even push the pawn. Because the queen's pinning the pawn, you can't push the pawn. We know you can't play queen takes rook because pawn takes and there's another checkmate coming, which can't be stopped. So we can't play queen takes rook. What do we do? Well, my opponent, he's in time trouble. He's got 1 minute 36 seconds. Oh, not so much time trouble, but he's in position trouble. And he decides, I'll play queen to E8. Perhaps white will make a mistake. And I'll defend the H pawn from rook takes pawn check. Perhaps white will make a mistake. Now, a lot of you will find the best move here. Queen takes G7 checkmate. However, this bunny here, Bunny Rabbits, was so preoccupied with the artistry of the position that, and looking for this beautiful rook takes pawn check that we pre-planned in my mind about 4 moves earlier, that I thought, well, hold on, how do I continue the theme? I missed mate in 1. And what did I play? I played queen takes rook. And it says, I got a minus. I got a minus. The engine gives me a minus because I missed mate in 1. See the big arrow saying checkmate? And I thought, when I played the game, I thought, oh no, I've missed mate in 1. However, and I've given my queen up. However, if the queen captures my queen, the same thing happens. Rook H5 checkmate. Okay. If black plays queen E7 check and it then tries to take the queen, we go queen E7 check, king to B1, and then after rook takes queen, well, the rook takes pawn checkmate is still there. If black plays queen E3 check and the king goes to B1, and black takes the rook, well, the pawn just recaptures and the other rook on h1, again the same theme, rook takes h5, checkmate. So what did my opponent play? He just took the queen and allowed me to play my beautiful checkmate. So there we go, rook takes pawn, checkmate. At least I got a star for that move. I missed out on getting a star for a few moves, but I just thought that was just such a beautiful theme that I wanted to share it with all you wonderful people out there at Christmas time. So God bless you all. I hope you had fun and with this game as much as I did. Take care and God bless. I'm going to sign off now.